Scared.
A little scared. In a good way, I imagine?
Yeah. I was just excited, though.
What have you been doing? Cheering with everybody, giving lots of hugs, autographs, everything?
And all of that.
How does that feel?
It feels really good. It feels like I'm a celebrity.
The VIP treatment for sure. Yeah, we were at the airport with them. Then they had their ride here, and now they're going home. They've told us that they're definitely due for a good night's rest and some good home-cooked food. So, of course, we're going to continue to follow their journey leading up to the big parade on Saturday. Live in Lake Mary, Troy Campbell, Getting Results News 6.
Yeah, if those boys have any special requests, now is the time to
act.
act.
Yeah, Mom will cook you whatever you want.
Thank you, Troy. And from coming home here in Central Florida to every day on the Diamond in Williamsport, News 6 was there every step of the way. From wins to that one loss, we got to see it all. News 6 anchor Justin Wormuth has been in Williamsport for the past couple of weeks. It feels like months he's been gone, taking part in traditions and bringing us the latest updates as they happened.
Ready? Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go! Oh.
Woo! I never got tired of seeing these. I mean, I think that was like one of the first ones. It was a little dangerous. So here's another look at the famous hill slide Justin did just about before every winning game.
That was the Rolls Royce right
Yeah,
there.
that one was good. Justin was there with the team as they rode cardboard boxes down the hill right next to the stadium, a tradition there at Williamsport. And he was there for so long, he had to keep up with his on-air looks, of course. We have standards. He only got closer to the families as the World
Can't
Series.
have a mountain man on the air.
Getting a haircut from one of the star players' dads, who also happens to be a pretty good barber. Justin's lineup looks pretty good.
Watching them go down that hill, in the beginning, it was very green, tons of grass.
He practiced.
It was dust by the end of the series.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The first time, the only time he didn't go down that hill was their one
That's when they lost, yeah. So really,
won't do that again.
News 6 took care of that team. As the team gets back to life as average 12-year-olds, they're being welcomed back as champions, and the celebrations will continue this weekend.
Yeah, so there's a parade in the works before they even won the series. Now, officials say they are expecting it to be bigger than they originally planned because they're the champs, right? Tonight, News 6's Emily McLeod is catching up with city officials to see how their plans are changing.
Mary Little League making history on Sunday, bringing home Florida's first Little League World Series title.
I think it's fantastic on a world level for them to achieve this status. It's incredible, but not only for the players, but the coaches.
They all
clutched it up.
Yeah.
Now the city of Lake Mary, people across Central Florida, and businesses along 4th Street are getting ready for Saturday's big celebration.
We're planning on being here.
Businesses like 4th Street Bar and Grill have been hosting watch parties throughout the entire Little League World Series. They say they plan to open up early on Saturday since they're right in the middle of where this big celebration is set to take place.
We've been ready all through this. So every time they've won, we just continue to order, and order.
Manager Mike Perriord says they plan on opening at 10 a.m. on Saturday rather than 11.
We're taking reservations now and get ready for it.
Lake Mary's Parks and Recreation Department is in charge of Saturday's celebration. They say they've been planning it for weeks. But now that the team has won the entire Little League World Series, they're making some changes to accommodate for more people.
We're growing. Our parade's growing. It's going to be in the downtown. We're just expanding it, and the details will come out.
In what ways is it growing? Is the route getting longer?
It's getting longer. We're adding more fun to it, so it's getting longer.
To stay up to date with Lake Mary Little League celebrations, you can head to clickorlando.com. Reporting in Lake Mary, I'm Emily McLeod, Getting Results News 6.
24 teams from Florida have been to the Little League World Series, but only 8 have made it all the way through the bracket to reach that championship game. And it has been since the Little League first started in 1947. In Central Florida, there was Altamont in '84, Apopka in 2001. In fact, that was the last time a team from Central Florida won the U.S. championship but lost the international title. Now, our Lake Mary All-Stars sealed that deal, coming back stronger than ever last year when they just missed a trip to Williamsport in the last inning of the last game.
Every kid on this team had a moment that saved this run from districts to states, making a catch, it's magical.
We ran miles, we did boot camps. We weren't going to let no team take our summer away.
And no one could take their summer away, that is for sure. In fact, it's now in the history books, the 9th team from Florida to get to play in the World Series championship, the first to bring the title all the way back home.
Now, I would like to say here at News 6, we never had a doubt that these boys were winners. We even made a friendly wager with our sister station in San Antonio, KSAT, before the U.S. championship game. We told them if Bernie, which is close to San Antonio, won, we would donate $1,000 to the team. If Lake Mary won, they would donate $1,000. Even though our boys came out on top, we still decided to donate $1,000 to the Bernie, Texas team. They were an amazing team, really. And the Lake Mary All-Stars secured their very own $1,000 from KSAT. So let us take you back to the U.S. championship game. Just a couple days earlier, the Lake Mary All-Stars were pushed down to the losers bracket. After that team I was just talking about, Bernie, Texas, beat them. But our team said they wanted revenge. They worked hard to get all of Central Florida behind them. With no wiggle room, one loss, and they would be out. They came back winning the championship, heading to the World Series, and you know the rest. Now here at home, we're celebrating all week long into the weekend. A parade to honor the Lake Mary All-Stars will be this Saturday at 10 a.m. We want to congratulate them on the hard work these boys have put in for their World Series run, and we hope you'll join us as we broadcast here at News 6 from 9:30 a.m. to 11. And with all the excitement, we want to know, did the Lake Mary All-Stars, the Little League World Series, inspire you or maybe your kids to play a sport? The majority say yes, the vast majority there, 80%. You can let us know right now on clickorlando.com. And while you're there, watch all of our coverage. Like we mentioned, Justin's the only local anchor who's been covering the World Series in Williamsport from beginning to end. We take a look at those moments, watch the game-winning runs, and more under clickorlando.com/Lake Mary.
Yeah, the only problem is I aged out of Little League. I mean, I got
You can't go
inspired,
back.
but I can't go back.
And
yeah.
you don't have hand-eye coordination, so you need that.
Or coordination. Wow. He's right. He's not wrong. I can't be mad at it. All right, Samara Kokinas is in now with our forecast. Samara, just ignore him.
You know, when I was watching that game over the weekend, I was sitting here in the studio and walk-off bunt. Let me tell you something. I jumped out of my seat and I said, "Did you guys see that?"
It was exciting.
It's incredible, incredible game. So it's going to be one of those moments when you head out to this parade on Saturday. For the Little League team, our world champs, I should say. It's going to be a beautiful day for this parade, folks. We're talking about a good amount of sunshine, temperatures in the upper 70s, warming up to about 89 by the time it's all said and done. So it will be a little bit hot and humid by the time we get to the noon hours. Just dress lightly and, of course, enjoy your time celebrating those boys. They definitely deserve it. Looking at the radar tonight, really not much action to speak of. A lot of the heavier rain that was around earlier this afternoon has made its way offshore along the Gulf Coast there, and you can see some of that heavy rain and lightning there really just exiting and going over Palm Harbor for now. But back here at home, your hour-by-hour forecast looks pretty good. We're talking temperatures in the lower 80s because that rain really cooled us down. From 93 was the high today. We're at 83 right now. Temperatures falling through the lower 80s. By 9 o'clock, we'll be at 80 and mainly dry all across Central Florida, kind of like what we are right now. Now, I'll be back to talk about rain chances for your day tomorrow as well as the week ahead and, of course, the Labor Day weekend coming up.
All right, Samara, thank you. Get pinpoint weather on the go, plus use live interactive radar with our free News 6 Pinpoint Weather app. Search WKMG in your app store.
Let's take a look at what's trending right now on Central Florida's numero uno news website, clickorlando.com. A lot of you interested in a rotting shack in Lakeland that comes with a pretty creepy backstory. It was allegedly the site of a double murder more than 100 years ago. You can read more about what happened. Maybe it'll become an Airbnb and you could stay there, Ginger.
Pretty sure that's not happening.
You can find the shack. We'll tell you where on clickorlando.com.
I'm not going to need directions.
No? You wouldn't go
I'm good.
Give
We're
it a
cool.
look?
We're cool. Here are some of the other trending stories right now on clickorlando.com as well. Chick-fil-A has opened its first elevated drive-through with what they're describing as a unique meal transport system. We're breaking down how it all works on clickorlando.com.
And the last one, a spooky Florida road with a very unique trick that you might not see coming. Kind of feels like you're rolling up a hill, which is strange.
Turns out it's just all an optical illusion and, you know, spoiler alert.
And magnets.
Coming up, a SpaceX rocket will launch 4 people into space as they attempt the first ever private spacewalk. We break down what this will mean for the future of space.
And speaking of space, as 4 people are set to go up, it will be months until we see 2 stranded astronauts come back down, while NASA officials say they made the decision to keep the Boeing astronauts at the ISS. You're watching News 6 at 6:30. Live on News 6 Plus, we're getting results in Maitland, Cocoa Beach, and all of Central Florida.
Calm down with that live.
I will not.
Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
At one point today, I thought I would canoe into work.
It was.
I know.
I took a jet ski personally.
Did
but,
you?
yeah.
Did you? Well, I have a kayak. So,
Okay, and we could have used any of those things. I mean, it just kept coming and coming and coming. So maybe it'll get it all out of the way before the Saturday big parade in Lake Mary for our little champions.
Well, the good news about Saturday is that the rain, if it starts, it doesn't really pick up until the second half of the afternoon. So.
Great. They're done in the morning.
Exactly, exactly. So that's the good news there, folks. We're talking about good weather for the weekend ahead, at least for the first half of the day, with afternoon thunderstorms really picking up in the second half of the day. A live look at our radar this evening. You can see a few offshore showers there on the Atlantic, but the heavier rain that Ginger was just mentioning, I mean, that really pounded here in Orlando today. Dark skies, heavy rain, gusty winds, lightning. We had it all. Now it is all making its way off the Gulf Coast tonight. So really nothing left behind, just a few sprinkles there in northwestern Volusia County, but that is about it. So when we look at the setup, we have water vapor imagery here on the map to show you some drier air back toward Georgia. And you can see some of that drier air kind of making its way a little bit closer to central Florida compared to yesterday's run, where it was a little bit further to the north. We still have a good amount of moisture with this front going to dissipate by tomorrow. So I do believe as high pressure sinks a little bit closer to central Florida, we'll get some of that dry air mass into our local area, and that's basically going to take rain chances down a smidge. I'm not talking about a whole lot, but it'll definitely kind of wrap things up. So as you're planning your day for tomorrow, that onshore flow is going to continue, and that is going to push all the storms inland throughout the day. A few thunderstorms will fire up and could produce some heavy rain and gusty winds, maybe even some lightning, but overall it's still going to feel like 102 to 107 when you factor in all that humid air and that's out there for you. So let's take you hour by hour. We start the clock here at 6 all of the heavy rain will continue to make its way offshore, maybe possibly a few sprinkles of light rain left at around 11 o'clock across western Marion County. But starting the day tomorrow, plenty of sunshine. It's going to heat up fast. By noon, we start to see those clouds billowing up, and then here come a few showers. Now, this model isn't picking up a whole bunch of shower and thunderstorm activity by the afternoon, but I do believe that along these little boundaries, we could see a little bit more activity kind of spread out throughout the day. So they're all going to make their way west, and by sunset, it all should be over with. Now, looking at the tropics, we don't have any tropical development over the next 7 days expected, but we are watching a few tropical waves here in the Atlantic. And as we get closer to the peak of hurricane season on September 10th, of course, we're inching our way up in that activity mode for hurricane season. That's where we could see some potential for some tropical development. But of course, we'll keep you updated with all those changes. Your hour-by-hour forecast for Orlando tonight, falling through the lower 80s to the upper 70s by 11 o'clock, remaining dry with a few clouds overhead. Your overnight low will sink to about 77 here in the city. Beautiful, along with almost all the I-4 corridor. 80 from Cape Canaveral into Melbourne, mid-70s from Ocala into Leesburg. Here's your pinpoint accurate forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Florida Lottery.
And as we look at your hour-by-hour forecast, high temperatures will rebound about 92 or 93 tomorrow with that 50% coverage of rain. Now let's get you some results and show you your pinpoint accurate 7-day forecast. Here we go. 93 is your high tomorrow. Again, it'll feel like triple digits. We're going to stay in the lower 90s all the way through the next 7 days. But look at your rain chances. They go up on Sunday to about 60%. And heading into that Labor Day forecast, I don't believe it's going to be a complete washout, but it's definitely some beneficial rain for Central Florida. Your overnight lows mid to upper 70s each night.
Samara, thank you. Turning now to the future of space, where we're counting down to a historic mission set to lift off in just hours from our coast.
Yeah, and this launch is set to make history, and it is pretty risky, too. So let's take you outside now for a live look out at the Polaris Dawn rocket. It is on the launch pad, ready to go. When that rocket takes off, 4 commercial astronauts will be on board, one of them a billionaire helping to pay for the ride. They are set to fly higher than anyone has in 50 years through dangerous radiation and do the first ever civilian spacewalk. News 6's Eric Von Anken breaks down the risks and the chance to make history.
You might remember the name Jared Isaacman from his first trip to space in 2021 when he bought himself a ride on a rocket to raise $200 million for his favorite charity, St. Jude's. But his other goal then is the same as it is now, to advance space exploration. So for this mission, Polaris Dawn, it's called, Isaacman is again paying with his wallet, but also his body. He's sharing the cost with SpaceX to do a spacewalk, the first commercial spacewalk ever, and test out the new space suits that SpaceX has been designing. And they're testing out the spacecraft, the Dragon capsule, at high altitudes to see how it and the humans on board handle the high dose of radiation. So here's what the 4 men and women are going to do. The International Space Station sits at 250 miles above the Earth. Well, they're going more than 3 times higher than that, 870 miles up, through the Van Allen radiation belts. That's where the sun's high-energy particles are trapped. On their way up there, right after launch, the crew is going to start breathing pure oxygen to get rid of any nitrogen in their bloodstreams, like a diver does, to avoid the bends. Then the capsule drops down to 435 miles above the Earth. The 4 are going to put on those new spacesuits, depressurize the cabin, and open the hatch, exposing the entire crew and everything inside that capsule to the vacuum of space. It doesn't have an airlock. That's also never been done before. Isaacman and one of the SpaceX engineers, Sarah Gillis, are going to float out of that capsule attached by life support hoses. They trained for this at SpaceX headquarters, and then after 5 days in space, they're about running out of oxygen, so the crew comes home with the results of the risky, boundary-pushing test trip. I'm Eric Von Anken. I'll see you again tonight from the Kennedy Space Center for launch.
What a wild trip, huh? Speaking of space, remember those 2 astronauts stuck currently at the International Space Station? Well, it turns out they are officially going to be there until next year. NASA officials say Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams won't be back on Earth until February. The NASA astronauts were supposed to spend 8 days in space, but now they're forced to wait for a SpaceX craft after the Boeing Starliner they arrived on had so many problems. Now NASA says the Starliner spacecraft will return to Earth empty. That means the Starliner astronauts will need to wait until they can hitch a ride home on one of those SpaceX Dragon spacecrafts when Crew 9 makes their return home in February.
There was just too much uncertainty in the prediction of the thrusters. It was just too much risk with the crew.
Well, I don't think we're rebuilding trust. I think we're looking at the data, and we view the data and the uncertainty that's there differently than Boeing does.
NASA and Boeing have spent weeks trying to understand the cause of Starliner's helium leaks and malfunctioning thrusters, which is why, based on their findings, NASA says its decision to keep the crew on board all comes down to safety. Not a good look for Boeing.
No, it's not. Well, coming up, giving a voice and more security to many who may need help.
Children with autism and non-speaking, autism, your elderly patients with various types of dementia in the event that they wander and are unable to communicate.
More on the startup being recognized for a life-saving invention when News 6 at 6:30 continues. Stick with us. We're back in 2 minutes. A Volusia County startup is being praised by law enforcement for its invention to keep kids and vulnerable adults safe. You could say the Shareware Band is getting results. It's a digital safety bracelet that holds the wearer's medical and emergency information.
Now, the New Smyrna Beach Police will be honoring the founder of the company at City Council tomorrow. News 6's Molly Reed has the story of the new invention and how it's getting results for first responders.
This Shareware Band is a relatively small bracelet, but it holds a lot of information just with the tap of your phone, kind of like a QR code. The company donated dozens of these to law enforcement around Volusia County, including New Smyrna Beach here.
All of the links are live. You customize the profile with as much information or as little as you want.
Amanda Anderson, a former nurse, started working with QR codes as a side business when the idea for Shareware Band came up.
Last August, my father-in-law fell ill. So my mother-in-law approached me and she said, hey, you're doing all this work with these QR codes. Can we do something like a medical bracelet where he can put a list of his, comorbidities? It took about 7 months in the background, and then we launched to the public at the end of April.
Giving a voice and more security to many who may need help, like someone prone to medical episodes or nonverbal.
Children with autism and non-speaking, autism, your elderly patients with various types of dementia in the event that they wander and are unable to communicate.
Now the law enforcement officers can hand them out to residents when they respond to calls. Otherwise, it'll run you about 20 to 30 bucks depending on the size you need. Now, you don't even need to open your phone's camera app to use it. You just have to hold your phone up right to the bracelet and all the information will pop up. All contact and any medical information you feel first responders or others should know if they get lost or in an emergency.
And we get calls because, they've walked away and we need to go try to locate them, which we're happy to do. This gives us an additional tool by wearing this shareware bracelet for our officers to actually get the information that we need to find out how to get them the help they need.
We are launching our phase 2 in approximately 3 weeks. That'll add an optional upgrade. It's a geolocation feature. So in the event that you want somebody to wear the band, but you also want to know where they are or where the band's been scanned.
In New Smyrna Beach, Volusia County, I'm Molly Reed, getting results, News 6.
Very cool there. Well, the Lake Mary All-Stars have landed back in Central Florida as the Little League World Series champs.
So we want to leave you with one last look of the team's title run. The team fought back after a tough loss to Boerne, Texas last Monday, and with their back against the wall, one loss and they would have been out. They pulled it together and won their remaining games, finishing with the World Series win last night. And News 6's Justin Wormuth, the only reporter in the entire country to be there from beginning to end, found out the parents are just so proud of these boys.
How does it feel to be the best Little League team in the entire world?
Oh my gosh, world champions. I mean, it hasn't hit me yet. Honestly, it hasn't hit me yet. And again, all these boys worked really hard throughout the summer. The coaches did an amazing job. They knew that they wanted to get here and they worked hard. Boot camps, hard work, practices, double practices. I'm proud of all of them, including our coaches.
And don't forget the parents, too. Pat yourselves on the back. The celebration is just beginning for this team, though.
Yeah, they're having a parade Saturday. We'll bring you live coverage, so join us at 9:30 Saturday morning here on News 6 to watch and to celebrate with the good guys who brought the plaque home.
Oh, it's going to be such a great time for the families and everybody who's watched on TV and couldn't be there to come out and just say, guys, great job. And those kids are just going to eat it up.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be great for them. They need to get some sleep
right now
and enjoy themselves for the evening, rest up. Thanks for watching News 6 at 6:30. Stream News 6 online anytime on our News 6 Plus Smart TV app.
See you at 11.